Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
राजू प्रभु की जय।
Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, माता जी की
जय। లైవ్ స్ట్రీమ్ సరిగ్గా కనిపించట్లేదు.
नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Somebody manage this.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. So welcome everyone to Bhakti Center, and let us welcome His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu with loud and enthusiastic. When anything big happens in a movie industry, like any big movie is coming, people want to know how is that movie. I'm sure everybody is in a movie mood right now. We all saw Narshik there yesterday. Yeah. So when anything big is happening in a movie industry, people want to know what is that movie, who are the stars, how was the movie made, right? And right after the movie is released, Hare Krishna, right after the movie is released, we want to know the reviews, right? Everybody goes and says the movie name and the review. How was the movie? How did people like the movie? What did they feel about the movie? How big hit is going to be? A lot of predictions are made in the reviews. Is it right?
Yes.
We see that. In the same way, anything big happens in the ISKCON world, everybody looks to the review of His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So Prabhuji writes a very beautiful review about every big initiative that is coming, and anything big happens, even not in the ISKCON world, even the outside world, how we should look at it, how we should adapt it, how we should understand it, and how we should utilize it in the service of Krishna. So we are very fortunate. Actually, we don't know sometimes how fortunate we are, and that is the most unfortunate part, right? And we continue to exist like that. That Prabhuji is here in the city, and this is the only one program we are having this year. But Prabhuji will come again. We are hopeful that he gives more time for us. We are all busy in different activities, but this is the most important activity. We can't forget those 18 days series, right, where Duryodhana was brutally killed by Prabhuji. Dushyadana was ripped apart by Prabhuji, and we all witnessed it. And such a great memory you can never forget. And Krishna Nama Rupa Guna Leela and so on. Even the pastimes, the Gopi Geet series that happened, something very special. Sometimes even the world envies Gachibowli Satsang because we are able to lots of likes coming here. And let us encourage him, let us show our appreciation for him, our love for him, that he comes here again and
It's an
again.
offering
By
class, so
three
we
loud, enthusiastic Haribols! Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरस्य नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णकृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Dear Lord, guide us all so that we can understand your love for us and be inspired thereby to offer our love to you through practical service and through inner remembrance. Hare Krishna. We're delighted to be here. I never thought I would be so happy to be declared to be a killer by someone. You have given a new definition of everything can be used in Krishna's service. You see? Can you put this down? So, have some of you got the copies of this book? No? Vishal too, where are you? Okay. You're distributed already? How many do we have? Not many? Okay, there are a few. Anyway. So this is my latest book on the Bhagavad Gita. This is prayers inspired by Bhagavad Gita. Now for me, the Gita is not just a source of wisdom. Many of the verses of the Gita are for me like close personal friends. That if we have a friend, then we want to know more and more about the friend. So like that, for me, understanding the Gita means like spending more time with the verses and getting to know those verses more. And one way we learn more about our friends is by not just spending more time with them, but spending more time with them in different contexts. Say, if we know somebody from work, then how are they at home? Or how are they in outing? How are they in various situations? Like that, I have been studying and writing on the Gita for the last almost 15 years. I've written almost 5,000 articles. But I was feeling that I have been doing a lot of analysis of the Gita. So, but I felt that the Gita has a very sweet devotional dimension that I have not addressed so much. I have written a book, Relishing Bhagavad Gita, but that is also, there's more. I talked about it. I gave that book to one Prabhupada disciple who loves the Gita very much. He told me, this is a rasic book, but it is analysis of rasa. So rather than the experience of rasa. So then I was thinking how the Gita could be approached in a way that the more devotional dimension could be appreciated. So I started looking at the ways in which the acharyas in our tradition or in general Vaishnava tradition have quoted the Gita. not just they have quoted, but how they have quoted, where they have quoted, how they have referred to the Gita. So there is Gita commentary, which some acharyas have written, but then Jiva Goswami quotes some verses from the Gita, in what context he quotes. Or for example, Baldev Vidyabhushan in the Dhan Sutra, how he quotes. So then I noticed that in Mukundamala Stotra, which is by Kulashekar Maharaj, there are many beautiful prayers, and some of the prayer, at least one of them very clearly, others slightly clearly, slightly indicatively, I felt that they were direct inspirations from Krishna's promises in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna, when he's speaking the Gita, it is the same lips which are playing the Venu Gita to call the gopis. From those same lips, the Bhagavad Gita has come, and he's calling us. So when he is calling us, he is also inviting us and expecting us to reciprocate, and he wants us to reciprocate. So there's a verse 12.7. I don't need it, you can have it. The 12.7 in the Bhagavad Gita is Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsar sagarat. That for those people, I lift them out of the ocean of material existence. And there, what is the Kulashekar Maharaj's prayer is Samsara sagar nimagnam ananta deenam uddharatum arasi hare purushottamosmi. So he's saying the ocean of material existence is unsurpassable. It behooves you, O Lord, to lift me out of this material existence. Now, arhasi, it behooves me. Now, why it behooves you, O Lord? Because you have promised. You have promised in the Gita that you will lift me up. Is it problem? Here? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare, okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, in one sense, you could put it this way, that when Krishna is speaking the Gita to us human beings, in one sense, that is, he's giving instruction, he is giving wisdom, he's giving insight. He's telling us what to do. Now, we can try to do it, but the same wisdom that Krishna has given, we can ask Krishna for strength so that we can follow his instruction. So the verses of the Gita can become inspirations. Krishna, you want me to do this? You promised me that this will happen. Please help me make it happen. So that's how in this book there are 122 prayers inspired by the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. I hope to make 366 for one full year in 3 volumes. So in each of these prayers there is a beautiful picture of a deity of Krishna, and then there is a one sentence summary which is like a spiritual affirmation. I kept it very short, and then I have taken the Gita verse, I try to translate it in English poetry so that we can feel a bit of an emotional connect. The Gita is actually a poetic form of expression. And then there is a 1-page prayer. So this is how we can understand and apply the Gita and verse and relate it with our life. So we will discuss today based on this 3.30. So if you don't have the book, I am displaying it over here also, and we will read one paragraph. One Vaishnavas can read, one Vaishnavis can read. If you have the mic, you can share it. Let's 3.30, that is page number 124 in the book which you have. 3.30, page 124. So you can repeat after me. My dear Lord, let me express my love for you with my entire being. So let's recite the verse. Mai sarvani karmani Sanyasyadhyatma chetasa Nirashir nirmamo bhutva Yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. offer all your deeds to me with my, no, it's okay, I'll just recite this and we'll, offer all your deeds to me with mind absorbed in spiritual identity. Stay free from desire and ego. Fight, letting lethargy go. So, who would like to read the first paragraph?
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, love for you is not a sentimental notion. It needs to be expressed through concrete actions dedicated to you.
Yes. Okay. So, broadly, I'll speak using this verse on the topic of how to serve Krishna beyond our comfort zone. Now, when we talk about the word love, now, the word devotion is similar to the word love. General devotion is used for something bigger than ourselves, some bigger cause, some bigger person, some bigger deity, and ultimately it is meant for God. But broadly, there are significant similarities. Now, when we talk about love, there is within love a combination of the internal and the external. That's why we talk about, say, internally we have remembrance of the Lord, and externally we have service to the Lord. So, when we talk about inner remembrance and outer service, the same theme will come later. Ma manusmara yudhyaja. So, love is expressed through actions. Now, it's interesting. I was just on a 3-month tour of America. I came back. So, I came back about a month ago. So, I was in LA and there was a Western yoga studio program and they were introducing the yoga people to Bhakti yoga. So, one person said that, I thought spirituality is about going within. But Bhakti, the spirituality is about going inside, but Bhakti seems all about going outside. Isn't it? Go to a temple, go to a holy place, go in the association of devotees. So, how are we going inside? Or is it not about going inside? So, I explained that ultimately it is IOU. What is IOU? IOU is go look inside, look outside, and ultimately it is look up. So, spirituality is not so much about either going inside or going outside. It is about not so much it's more about looking up. It is about raising our consciousness. It is about connecting with a reality bigger than ourselves. And that can be done, yes, both by going outside and by going inside. And both are possible. You can go outside and go down. And we can go inside and go down. Then if our mind is too agitated, like say, if we are too much in tamoguna, then what happens? The more we go inside, the more we get caught in our thoughts, the more we get trapped in our thoughts. So we could say, without a spiritual dimension, if I am here, going outside can actually get us a lot into rajas. If there is no, if we are not without going up, and going inside can actually get us into tamas. Because see, a typical characteristic of depression is a person is just haunted by their own thoughts and they just get lost inside their head, and quite often people just get out of yourself. Now go and do something. Now, of course, go and do something, we can get caught in doing things. So, the Prabhupada, when he went to America, he said, he talked about Rajastamo Gunera Sabai Achu. So, we try to achieve things in the outer world and we get caught in the outer world. There is too much agitation. But if we go inside, quite often our thoughts haunt us. Oh, I did like this person did like this. that person did like that. See, for us, inside and outside, if you consider, outside we have things, inside we have thoughts. So quite often, the things that we have, they may come and go. The things we have may not be as good as the things that others have. That can cause us dissatisfaction. But a far greater dissatisfaction is actually caused by our thoughts, where the thoughts often end up becoming our enemies. So for many people, their memory is itself their enemy. Oh, this person did like this and I did like that and this happened to me. Now, if we consider trauma is basically where something terrible happened and that memory keeps replaying within the person. And it is a painful situation. It is no laughing matter or matter to be dismissed. But the point is that if there is no spiritual dimension, if there is no going up, then going in is not always very healthy. So the key point in bhakti is that we go out and we go in ultimately to go up. So in one sense, the purpose of bhakti is to make our memory our treasury. Our memory, our treasury. That antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevara. So when you remember Krishna, at that time we are liberated. But what does that mean? That means we get so much joy in remembering Krishna that I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else at all. When we have no desire for anything other than Krishna, then Krishna will take us to Him. And so for this purpose, so love, it is not just a sentimental emotion. It is about raising our consciousness upwards through the internal and the external. So the focus is to go up. So would anyone like to read the next paragraph? Please.
Please, O Lord.
You have a mic by chance?
Yes.
Here.
Please, O Lord, bless me so that I have at least the first expression of love, which is the absence of lethargy. Love is never lazy, and where there is laziness, there can be no love. Once I am determined to act wholeheartedly, thereby transcending the mode of ignorance, then my love is expressed through non-possessiveness. Let me seek the best through my endeavors, not to increase my own prestige and ego, but for your service and pleasure.
Okay, thank you. So now, if we go back to this particular verse, that the Acharyas have explained that there are components of this verse. Mai sarvani karmani. So Mai, offering the worship to Krishna, offering our life to Krishna, that is transcendence. Mai sarvani karmani. Now, if we consider there is Adhyat, Mai sarvani karmani sannyas. Offering all our work to Krishna is transcendence. Adhyatma chitasa. Remembering that we are remembering, is it audible? Somehow there is an echo, isn't it? Is the audio pleasant for you? Audible but not pleasant, or not audible only? Audible but not pleasant. It's a jerky sound, isn't it? Should I use a normal mic or what should I do? Is it better now or still the same? Maybe I'll just turn this off. Is there an echo? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm okay with the normal mic also. Yeah, let me use a normal mic. Let's start with it.
We will try this last option. One shot.
Yeah.
Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, it's on. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh God, Hare Rama. Even the smallest, I think I do. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is this better? I was in America, and there is one temple where there's a Prabhupada disciple who is himself a magician. Before coming to Bhakti, he was a magician and a comedian. So whenever I go there, he makes a lot of fun of me. So once I was there for a program, and he attended a class, and I asked him, how was the program? He says, everything about the program was wonderful except the talk. So one day we had an audio problem over there. So I asked, am I audible? I said, is the audio pleasant? So he was sitting behind. He says, the audio is pleasant, the voice is not pleasant. So so I was attending one class and he was also there. So Rompat Maharaj was giving the class and somebody asked a question. Said that why did the first demons that were killed by both Krishna and Ram, why were they women? So Ram killed Tataka, Krishna killed Putana. So Rompat Maharaj said, Pyare Mohan Prabhu will answer. And suddenly, unexpectedly, so Pyare Mohan Prabhu looked ladies first. So I was speaking about this particular verse and talking about in this verse what Krishna is telling is basically Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. That is transcendence, the Shuddha Sattva. Adhyatma Chetasa is Sattva. That being Sattva. Nirashir Nirmamo Bhutva is give up rajas. And Vigata Jvaraha. Vigata Jvaraha is give up lethargy, that is give up tamas. The idea is give up rajas, give up tamas, be situated in sattva and then offer yourself to me. So this is the theme of this verse. So we are discussing that one by one over here. So the first characteristic of love is that there is no lethargy in love. There is no apathy. There is no indifference or being uncaring. That is not a characteristic of love at all. So when we are trying to practice bhakti and when we are trying to grow spiritually, at that time, is it okay? So when we are trying to grow spiritually, and if we look at the examples of the great devotees, the great saints, one of the things that comes up is that Satatam Kirtayanto Ma Yatantascha Drudavrataha. The devotees work extremely hard in whatever they do. They endeavor a lot. Drudavrataha. So sometimes there are lots of questions that come up which actually spark a lot of insight. So one devotee was telling me that when I was introduced to Bhakti, I was told that this practice of Bhakti will make you peaceful. But he said, now I have so much service that he said that actually I thought that weekdays are busy and weekends are time for spiritual rejuvenation. But he said, no, my weekends are so busy that they are busier than weekdays. And he says that I feel sometimes I have more anxiety than in the past. So where is the peace of mind? So I told him that actually in our life, there are two distinct things. And this everything I speak will be centered on this diagram. That there is being peaceful and there is being purposeful. So for all of us, we want peace, but it is not peace that is all that we want. So we want to do something meaningful in our life. So in some ways, being peaceful and being purposeful can seem to be in tension. If I have a purpose, I have to do some things. And if I have to do some things, then I lose my peace. But the point is that if we consider these four quadrants, we are peaceful but not purposeful. Then sooner or later, life will become boring. You're just peaceful. Okay, I'm peaceful. But what do I do after that? No, just be peaceful. Oh, it'll not work. In Hindi we say, bas. Basically, what will happen is life will be boring. And okay, we can be peaceful, but we want our life to have some value. We want our life to be productive. My existence matters to my family. My existence matters to someone else. I am doing something of value. So if you are only peaceful without being purposeful, it's not only that we'll be boring, but we'll also be unproductive. And when we are unproductive, we want something in our life. Sooner or later, we'll go down to becoming self-destructive. Self-destructive means what? That we will look for some stimulation. And often we look for stimulation in things that will increase our misery. So many times when people get into addictions, it's not just because they have no sense control. It is because they have some distress in their life, they have some trouble in their life, and they want some quick relief. And then soon that relief itself becomes the source of stimulation for them. And once it becomes the source of stimulation, then they go down that track. And at this point, that if we do not have something tangible to do, then our mind itself starts worrying about this, scheming about this, complaining about this. So we will see that if we are just peaceful in the sense that we don't have much anxiety, then our mind will create anxiety for us. So now it may not happen to everyone, but it is a trajectory that we will go down on. So this peaceful without being purposeful is actually tamas. If you are peaceful, just peaceful. But there is no purpose in our life. That is not at all a healthy situation. Now, if we consider if there is neither peace nor purpose, what is going to happen? You can call that as tamas squared. So, in general, if we are peaceful, and I mean, it's good to be peaceful. I'm not in any way minimizing or criticizing the value of being peaceful. But the situation is, from here we should be going. Okay, I'm peaceful. Now let me think clearly, and then let me decide what do I want to do with my life. What is it that will bring some meaning in my life? How can my life have some value? So, with the foundation of peaceful, if we can move towards being purposeful, that is good. Now, but if we do not move towards purpose, then what happens? Like some people, they are very busy doing nothing. And they are busy doing nothing. And it's now what happens is they're nothing except making themselves more and more agitated and making others more and more agitated. So, one of the characters of Kali Yuga is the Upadrutaha. We're all very agitated. Now, agitation of the mind is a problem. But agitation of the mind alone is itself not a problem. It is when we feel the agitation is for something worthless or nothing is coming out of it. That's where it becomes even more frustrating. So, I'll give another framework to understand this particular diagram. So, but let's quickly go over this diagram. Now, among the four quadrants, which is the best to be situated in? Fourth. Yeah, we are peaceful and we are also purposeful. Now, which is the second best? It can be third or first, depending on whatever is lacking in our life. If the purpose is so strong, it has taken away our peace, we may feel I want some peace. The peace is there, but purpose is not there. So we could say both of these, this could be good, this could also be good, but it depends. So sometimes we may go into a zone where our purpose becomes so overwhelming for us that we lose all peace. Now, just like we need food for our body, similarly we need peace for our mind. But with food, what do we do after that? We do some activity, isn't it? Like that, with peace of mind, what do? We engage our mind in something. So peace and purpose in that sense are complementary. But sometimes what may happen is that if there is no foundational peace and the purpose is just, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, we pulled in so many directions, then we get overwhelmed. So broadly speaking, in terms of our analysis over here, this having purpose without peace, that is rajas. Where I have so many things, aneka chitta vibhranta moha jala samavita. I am pulled in this direction, I am pulled in that direction. I just don't know where I am going. So, having peace and purpose, that is sattva. And if this is coupled with bhakti, then it is a divine peace and a divine purpose for us. So let's try to explore this. When we seek balance in our life, sometimes it may be that we are lacking peace and that's what we want. Sometimes we are lacking purpose. So we will try to explore how both of these could come together. Now, if we consider Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Vrindavan, he was quite peaceful. Vrindavan is the place of devotion, the place of great spiritual joy for him. But for him, that was not what he wanted, or that was not all that he wanted. He was in Vrindavan, but he wanted to take Vrindavan with him. And wherever he went, he recreated Vrindavan over there. So for him, if he had just wanted peace, he could have stayed in Vrindavan. But for him, the purpose was important. And that's why he went abroad. But at the same time, he was deeply connected with Krishna. So, seeking a purpose, so even when Prabhupada was an unknown Swami walking on the streets of America, when devotees met him, when Hagrid Prabhu met him, the first thing that struck him was that Swami seemed so peaceful. He was on the streets of New York all alone, and yet he was at peace. He was completely at peace. He was just so satisfied, so content. And that was a great mystery that intrigued him. This is, what is going on over here? So that was one of the things. We'll come back to this point that, in Bhakti, we could say Bhakti devotion. If I don't come back to this point, then one of you please come back to this point at the end. See, devotion is actually a combination of satisfaction and ambition. Devotion is a combination of satisfaction and ambition. That the satisfaction is that I am a part of Krishna. Krishna will always be with me. That serving Krishna is the purpose of life, and this is what I've understood, and therefore there is satisfaction. But there is also ambition. Ambition is, I want to do more and more for Krishna. I want to do the best that I can for Krishna. So in this the ambition does not cause dissatisfaction in the sense of agitation, irritation, frustration. So this is quite mysterious, and we'll try to explore this. Now, devotion, D-A-S. What is this? Das. So to be a das is to have devotion, that is ambition and satisfaction. So let's try to understand how this happens. Devotion as ambition and satisfaction. So broadly speaking, for us, when we look for peace and when we look for purpose, the world can be a very agitating place. And agitation can be threatening at times. Oh, this may go wrong, that may go wrong. So we want something that is secure, something that is unchanging, something that is stable. So in one sense, when we look for peace, we are not just looking for peace itself. Peace means there is some amount of stability. Because things can be very restless. Peace also means a certain level of safety. So it also means a certain level of security. So the world is constantly changing, and in the changing world, when we look for peace, we want something which is unchanging. Okay, this person spoke like this to me, that person did like that to me, this happened, that happened. But maybe I come back home and maybe I sit down and I pray, or I meditate, or I sit down and spend time with my family, I play with my child. So I feel, okay, this is something which is just stable, something which is secure in my life. And there can be many things which can give us peace. But the idea is, within all the changes in the world, they can make us restless, insecure, and we want peace because of that. And it is a natural human need. The changes make us unstable. And having said that, once we have that peace, so for us, the supreme unchanging reality is Krishna. The supreme unchanging reality, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. So spiritual is unchanging, and Krishna, the supreme spiritual reality, is the supreme unchanging reality. So that's how thinking about Krishna, focusing on Krishna, brings peace. At the same time, Krishna is the supreme unchanging reality. Krishna is the supreme unchanging reality. At the same time, Krishna is also supremely changing. Now, what do I mean? See, Krishna himself does not change, but Krishna is not like a statue. Krishna is not a static reality. Krishna is himself dynamic. Krishna is not static, Krishna is ecstatic. And ecstatic means highly dynamic, joyfully dynamic. So in the Vedanta Sutra, there is this question that if God is Purna, then why would, if the ultimate reality Brahman is Purna, why would Brahman want to do anything at all? Isn't it? Why would Brahman want to create? Why would Brahman want to multiply? Eko bahusyam. So why should there be anything at all? And there are different explanations given of this. That so Ramanacharya in his commentary, he says that it's like a person may be very happy. But then the person may be satisfied fully, but then with their family, with their child, they may start playing a game. So he says the whole of creation is like a krida. So one may do that. Now Baldev Vidyabhushan, his commentary goes forward and he says, actually when we play to be happy. But he says Brahman is already happy. So he says the whole Srushti, all of existence and all of activity is not like a play, it is a dance. Now what is the difference between a play and a dance? We play to be happy, we dance because we are happy. So all the activity of Brahman is not in pursuit of happiness, it is an expression of happiness. It is an expression of happiness. Let's take another relatable example to illustrate this. Say if we don't have any food, and then we find somebody cooks some food, and we go somewhere, find somebody who can give us some food, we buy something, we go to some hotel. So we are incomplete, and then we find someone who will provide us that which will complete us. But suppose we have lots of food. We have far more food than what we can eat. We have enough for us and we have more. And then we go out searching for someone. Now we are searching for someone not so that they give us food, but we give them food. So it's not that there is incompleteness that is to be made complete. It is completeness that is to be shared with others. So Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. So Krishna is active. Now his activity is not to gain happiness. His activity is like a dance to share happiness. He's already happy and he wants to share that happiness with others. So when from Krishna's perspective, Krishna is peaceful, Krishna is content, Krishna is satisfied. But Krishna also is ambitious. He wants to share that happiness with others. And Bhakti, we don't become God, but we become God-like. So Krishna is full. Now if he is full, then why is he active? It is not because he is incomplete, but because he wants to share that fullness with others. Share the fullness with others. So now as devotees, we may not be in that state. We are not in that state at present. But that is the principle in Bhakti. That a devotee is full, a devotee is satisfied in the sense that I am part of Krishna and this is what I am meant to be. But as a part of Krishna, there is much that I can do to express my love for Krishna, to serve Krishna. So if we go back to this particular diagram now, now we know this concept of comfort zone, panic zone, and stretch zone. So basically, if we talk about it in terms of the modes, they'll come back there. So if you consider the comfort zone, the panic zone and the stretch zone. So comfort zone is we are doing far less than what we are capable of doing. So if you consider the zones, we are just living complacently. So comfort zone is often associated with tamas, where if I can lift up 10 kg weight, I lift up half a kg weight. You know, you can call it exercise, but not much muscular growth is going to happen by that, isn't it? But now, from comfort zone, if somebody goes to panic zone, somebody can lift 10 kg and they lift 60 kg or they lift 80 kg. And what happens? Then they become a 80 kg weight that somebody else has to lift and carry on a stretcher. So this is panic. Panic zone is rajas. So basically in tamas, we underestimate our capacity. We think, I can't do anything. I can't do much. In rajas, we overestimate our capacity. So broadly, in the comfort zone, we may, okay, I don't need to do anything. Why should I don't feel like doing anything? Maybe I can't do anything. It's now in between is the stretch zone. Now stretch zone is broadly sattva. So we are confident in our capacity. Yeah, I can lift 10 kg. So maybe let me try to lift say 11 kg. So we are peaceful in the sense that this is what I can do. But purposeful in the sense, let me try to do something more. So for us, sattva is where we recognize our capacity and then we try to build on our capacity. So if you go back to those 4 quadrants, so in general, if we live in comfort zone, we will not grow much. If we go into the panic zone, we will injure ourselves, we will hurt ourselves. So in stretch zone, we will keep growing steadily. So if we go back to the 4 quadrants here, now, which is the panic zone over here? Yes, this will be the, rajas will be the panic zone. Now, which is the comfort zone? Yes, one is comfort. See, the problem is, if we stay too long in the comfort zone does not remain a comfort zone. It becomes a discomfort zone. It's like somebody, what happens? I drink and I feel comfortable. But after some time, you drink that much, you don't feel comfortable. So you have to drink more. The comfort zone itself slowly starts receding. So this is, we could call the discomfort zone. There's no such zone, but let's put it this way. So now this is where, this is the stretch zone. So, if all this seems a little too philosophical, don't worry. What will come will be even more philosophical. But I'll add one more point over here, and then we will talk about some pastimes of Prabhupada and some acharyas, something about how devotees act practically in comfort zone. See, the Gita talks about broadly 3 kinds of distress. I use the acronym IAS for that. If you understand this, you get IAS degree. 3 kinds of distress is what? Some is inevitable distress. Some distress is just unavoidable in life. And so Krishna talks about this. Tams tiksha sudharata. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshana darshana. There's nobody who can avoid this inevitable distress. Sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold. We all will grow old, we all will get diseased. So Krishna talks about this inevitable distress, we need to accept it. Now there is avoidable distress. So while this world is dukkhalaya, all dukkha is not the same. When we talk about distress, there is avoidable distress. Krishna talks about this in yehi samsparshja bhoga dukkhayona yevate. This is distress we create by our own actions. So indiscriminate indulgence, somebody drinks too much, drinks or smokes or gets into such activities. So this is avoidable distress. And we should avoid this. So this is what we reject. And the third is strengthening distress. strengthening means going through this distress actually makes us better. Krishna talks about this in 18.37 in the Bhagavad Gita. Yattad agre vishamiva pariname amrutopam. That which tastes like poison in the beginning will taste like nectar in the end. So now this is something which we actually need to cultivate. So there is inevitable distress which we need to learn to accept. This is how life is. I can't do anything about it. There is avoidable distress which, so for example, when you follow healthy habits, you give up unhealthy habits, you follow the 4 regulative principles for example, there is so much unnecessary distress that we are avoiding. And then there is distress that leads to happiness. That is, say, if somebody is not very fit, they do some exercise, they become fitter. Then the healthier life is a much better life for happiness. If somebody doesn't know a particular language and they're in a particular place, they have to struggle to communicate with others. Now, learning a new language is not easy, it requires effort. And that effort can feel like poison. That's troublesome, it's a problem, it's distressing. But through that, once we learn the language, then a whole new universe for communication opens for us. So, like that, when we are trying to practice bhakti, so if there is certain amount of distress which is just unavoidable. And if we do not accept that, so if this inevitable distress, like acceptance does not come, then we try to get out of that distress. And in trying to get out of the distress, we often do activities that create much more trouble. That's how we go towards avoidable distress. So for example, everybody needs to learn a bit about tolerance. Life is difficult. But if you don't learn tolerance, small difficulties, okay, I just want to watch TV and forget all my problems. I just want to drink and forget all my problems. Then that will create avoidable distress. But how do we tolerate this inevitable distress? There needs to be some higher purpose to our life. That is where the strengthening aspect comes out. So for all of us, when we are functioning in life, nobody can avoid distress. So coming out of our comfort zone may seem troublesome. Yes, it is troublesome. But it is actually the trouble that can save us from greater trouble. So it is that from Rajas will go, from Tamas will go down further, from Rajas will go down further. When we come towards Sattva, there is a combination of being peaceful and being purposeful. So if we consider the strengthening happiness as what? That is it peaceful? Well, we may say, no, I am not peaceful right now. Because I am going through some trouble. I am learning something or I am trying to do something which I am not good at doing. So it is difficult. So where is peace? But actually, the peace comes there by understanding that this is where I am meant to be. This is what I am meant to do. This is the right thing to do. So peaceful and purposeful. So the nature of this world is dukkha is unavoidable. And when we seek purpose does not remove, if you consider this is our consciousness. And in our consciousness, some kind of distress will always be there. And the more we try to remove that distress, the bigger that distress becomes. How does that happen? See, sometimes the more time we have for our problems, the more problems we have. Isn't it? So we all have problems in life, but when we keep thinking about those problems, they start becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So now, of course, that does not mean that we don't try to deal with the problems. But some problems we just have to accept. So when we have a purpose, so we have a problem. Some problems I'm talking about, these are inevitable problems.
See red.
Oh, you cannot see red? Oh, okay. Well, What do I do?
Pink. White. Pink. Right. Yellow.
But yellow is not what I want to show is different. Okay, let us see if this works. Visible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if we consider like the red light I want to show, we have a problem in our life. Now, some problems we just cannot remove them. The more we try to remove them, they become bigger and bigger. So, like if you consider relationships, nowadays in social media there is a lot of say criticism of ISKCON or criticism of the devotee organizations, devotee communities. So some people say, I was just one place in this. If I come to know that my authority, my spiritual guide, my spiritual master is not perfect, then what will inspire me to surrender and serve such a spiritual master? So I told them that, if you're going to wait for a perfect community, a perfect guide, a perfect spiritual community, you will be waiting for all of eternity. Because the material world is an imperfect place. And even if somehow we find a perfect community, we won't gain entrance in it. Because we are not perfect. So now this does not mean that if there are problems, we don't try to deal with the problems. But to expect that there will be a place where things will be perfect, well, that is not going to happen in the material world. So there are some problems that are unavoidable. When we try to eliminate those avoidable problems, we only create far bigger problems for ourselves. So eliminating avoidable problems, learning to tolerate them is better. I think I told this incident earlier when I come. When I go to Canada, there's a devotee couple at whose place sometimes I stay. So the husband is a marketing agent for some big company, but he's also learned to do Vivaha Yajna. He acts as a priest and other ceremonies he does. The wife is into family law. So family law is a polite word for family divorce. So the joke, we are a power couple. That you come to the husband to get married, you come to the wife to get divorced. So Bhartaji was telling me that sometimes people come for divorce and sometimes the reasons are so, at least from one perspective, that's unbelievable. So now in the West, things are very compartmentalized. If you go for divorce, the attorney is not meant to give you any advice. If I want advice, then I'll go to a counselor. I'll go to some marriage counsel or something like that. So he said that this Canadian lady had come and he said that I want to divorce from my husband. And now in the West there is this point they got no false divorce. That is, we just are not compatible, so we want to leave. So he asked, okay, why do you want to leave? So he said that my husband and I cannot agree on what temperature to have for the AC in our home. Now he was writing this down. He says, is this real? So he says, is this what you want to write? He said, yes. He said that, I waited for a long time to marry. I was waiting for the perfect partner. And if he is really my soulmate, then our body temperature should be synchronized. So now what happens is, in every relationship there are some difficulties. If we try to eliminate all difficulties, we'll create bigger difficulties. So there are the problems that are unavoidable, they are inevitable. And how do we learn to tolerate these inevitable problems? By having a purpose that we can focus on. So a couple comes together, it's not just to have a good time. We want to have children, we want to raise a family. We have a purpose If two people they're coming together is only for pleasure, the pleasure will soon get exhausted. But when there is a higher purpose for which they're coming together, now that does not mean that purpose will solve all problems. But the purpose makes the problems bearable. The purpose makes the problems worthwhile. So we want, when the purpose becomes bigger for us, the problems become smaller for us. And when we are practicing bhakti, bhakti is not just for becoming peaceful. Bhakti is also for becoming purposeful. So when we talk about Krishna, Krishna, we often talk about Krishna as the protector. Krishna is the protector, and that is true. But if we look at the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not just a God who is a protector. Krishna is a God who is an empowerer. Krishna is not telling Arjuna, see, when we use the word protector, it's like I am a citizen and there's a police person, and the police will protect me. So the way Krishna is speaking is, it's like Krishna is the commander and Arjuna is a warrior. So Krishna is not that I will protect you, I'll be the hero and you watch my heroics. Krishna's mood in the Gita is that, yes, I am the supreme hero and you join my team and you will become a hero. You do heroic things. So the mood of Krishna is he's a protector, but he's not just a protector. He's an empowerer. And he wants to empower us to do wonderful things. And that's where, for us devotees, when we understand Krishna is a protector, we become peaceful. That when we understand Krishna is the empowerer, we become purposeful. That means that I as a warrior, I as a soldier, am going to fight for Krishna. And if I get into danger, Krishna is there to protect. So when we seek protection from Krishna, that protection is not within our cocoon, in peace, that is in passivity. So Krishna is a God who is an empowerer. Tasmatam uttishta yasho labhasya jitva shatrun bhumshvarajyam samrattam mayai vaite nihataha purvameva nimittamatram bhavasavyasaji. Krishna says, by my arrangement, your enemies have been killed. Therefore, Arjuna, arise and fight. So the peacefulness comes by understanding Krishna is in control. Krishna is in charge. But Krishna is in charge and Krishna wants me to charge. Krishna wants me to do things in his service. Therefore, a devotee is energized. So for us, this peacefulness comes by knowing that Krishna is in control. And how do we get this conviction that Krishna is in charge? Krishna is protection is Krishna is in charge. This comes by our sadhana, by our chanting, by our hearing, by our studying scriptures, by focusing on turning toward Krishna and immersing ourselves in Krishna. When we do that, we remember this world is big, the problems in the world are big, but Krishna is much bigger. Krishna is the far bigger reality. And understanding that brings peace to us. At the same time, when it's our seva, that is what brings purpose into other people. So, one last visual and a couple of examples. I'll conclude and then we'll have a few question answers. So I think I have described this diagram earlier in the classes, but let's put it in context. So initially for us, the world is very big and God is small. God is small So when I was introduced to Bhakti, I started sharing it with all over 30 years ago. I started sharing it with all my friends, relatives, acquaintances. So one of my uncles he told me, God, I believe in God. I have a very good relationship with God. I said, really? I had never heard him talk about anything spiritual. I had never heard him discuss any spiritual books or go to any holy places. So I said, what is the nature of this good relationship? He said, mutual non-interference. So he is happy there, I am happy there. So now the problem with that is that we will be happy here right now, but the world is a place of dwandva. And our happiness will not last for long. So now as we grow spiritually, what happens for us? The world becomes small and Krishna becomes big. So the world becomes small and Krishna becomes big. So yes, the world is big, but Krishna is much bigger. As I say, when we are worried, when we are troubled, don't tell God how big our problems are. Tell our problems how big God is. So how do we tell our problems how big God is? That is by our sadhana. In the purpose of sadhana, or chanting the holy names, or doing some puja, or coming in satsang, it is not just to tick a to-do in our list. It is actually to bring ourselves in the presence of a bigger reality. Now, when we do kirtan, when we do puja, at least for a few moments every day, we need to become immersed so that we remember there is a bigger reality. And that bigger reality is in charge. And I am a part of that bigger reality. So when that happens, when we understand that Krishna is bigger, this is what makes us peaceful. So when we do sadhana, say for example, when we are hearing about Krishna, when we are chanting Krishna's names, how it is that if this is my consciousness and this is Krishna, that initially Krishna is one among many stimuli in my consciousness. So right now you are sitting and hearing. So you are hearing the class, you are also thinking that, okay, the floor I am sitting is not very comfortable. It's been a long day, I am hungry, and this class is too philosophical. I am intellectually exhausted now. So there are so many stimuli coming inside us. So Krishna is one stimuli. So here what we do is, we give entrance to Krishna. There are many stimuli in my consciousness, but let Krishna at least be one of the stimuli. But if we let Krishna come into our consciousness, gradually what happens is our consciousness and Krishna becomes the much bigger reality. And then it is our consciousness that gains entrance in Krishna. And this is immersion. This is absorption. So first we give entrance to Krishna, and slowly as we dwell on Krishna, we start to recognize Krishna is the bigger reality. Krishna is the bigger reality. Krishna is the biggest reality. So during our sadhana, at least for a few moments, that remembrance, that realization, that experience, if we get it, that is a blessing. And it will not happen every day in our sadhana, but we all have this experience. Sometimes we agitate over so many things, we come to a temple, we participate in a kirtan, and we feel as if we have been transported to some completely different place. So we are experiencing Krishna to be a bigger reality. So this is where what happens is we become peaceful when we understand Krishna is the bigger reality. Now normally when the world is the bigger reality, even if we turn towards God, it is we turn towards God so that we can do something in the world, so that we can get something in the world. The idea is God is important so that I can fulfill some of my desires in the world. So God is the means and Krishna is the end. So for a devotee, we want to be peaceful, but that's not all that we want. For a devotee, the world becomes a means and Krishna becomes the end. We want to offer the world to Krishna. We want to offer, maybe we want to make our corner of the world. Maybe in our home, we want to make an altar. We want to offer the altar. This is your place, Krishna. In our intelligence, we want to. This intelligence, I understand your philosophy, I want to offer this to Krishna. We want to build this temple. I want to make this garden. Something in the world, we want to offer to Krishna. And this is what makes us purposeful. So there's peaceful and there is purposeful. So now we are peaceful because Krishna is the bigger reality and Krishna is with us. We are purposeful because we want to offer the world to Krishna. But now we try our best to offer the world to Krishna, but if it doesn't work, then we understand it's not that Krishna is going to reject us. It's the expression of my love for Krishna that Krishna, I want to offer the best to Krishna. Now it is Krishna's love for me that even if I don't succeed in offering anything, Krishna is going to still accept it. Krishna is going to still love. So that is the dynamism of the loving relationship. That we want to offer the best to Krishna and Krishna accepts us no matter what we succeed in offering and we don't succeed in offering. So a devotee is not insecure while doing service. While doing service, if we are only doing seva without that sadhana, we lose awareness that Krishna is the bigger reality. Then our service will become a source of unbearable agitation. But if we are doing the sadhana, Krishna, this is for you. Because it is for you, I want to do my best. I want to do my best for you, Krishna. But if it doesn't work, then this is not the end of the world. Krishna, I know that I am with you and you are with me. If you look at example of Srila Prabhupada, that if you see Srila Prabhupada, initially, look at Prabhupada's life. 1922, that was when he met Srila Sanjika. And then in 65, he went to America. 66, he started his school. And actually, till 68 almost, there was minimal results. Prabhupada was not, even after he went to America, he did not get success. In 68, he had a stroke kind of thing, he came back to India. And then when he went back to America, during that time when he was in India, the movement could have extinguished, but somehow it inspired the devotees. And Prabhupada went back, there were so many devotees, so many places, temples around. And now 68 to 77, Prabhupada got incredible results. If we consider that when Srila Prabhupada was not getting any results, generally speaking, if you consider some young boy, young kid, what do you want to do? I want to be the president of America. Okay, as if you grow up a little bit, okay, you are an Indian, you cannot become the president of America. Okay, I want to become prime minister of India. Or I want to become a Bollywood star. I want to become an influencer. I want to become that. As we keep growing in life, life beats us down. By the time we graduate, it will be good if I get a job. So, generally speaking, when we face setbacks and reversals in life, our ambitions become smaller and smaller. The Prabhupada was trying to preach in India and he did not succeed in preaching in India. He said, I'll go to America. He said, like India is like a home territory. Like a batsman and home territory is getting out of zero all the time. So send me abroad, I'll score a century over there. There is no logic in that. See, the more failure Prabhupada got, Prabhupada's magazine did not have much success. Like if you are an author, if I say I'll write a 100-page book, and if nobody takes a 100-page book, I don't think I'll write a 1,000-page book. Isn't it? So Prabhupada was publishing a 20-page magazine, and nobody was taking it. And Prabhupada at that time made a plan. like a multi-volume Bhagavatam translation. So it was so amazing. There was no success and bigger dreams. But the key thing was, even when there was no success, Prabhupada never became bitter. Although he was not getting any success, he was peaceful because he was just happy with Krishna. And then, when he went to America, it was extraordinary success he got. Prabhupada said that actually what the success even exceeded my expectation from it. So now, significantly, he got incredible results. But let's zero in on 77 now. Now, there was one project for which the Prabhupada endeavored much more than anyone else. Which was that? Juhu. And does anyone know when the Juhu temple was inaugurated?
7 February.
Yes. It was actually February. It was Jan 14, Sankranti day. It was Jan 14, 78. And when did Srila Prabhupada depart from the world? 14, there was November 14, 77. So now, what this means is, in just 2 months, this was the project for which Prabhupada fought more than anything else. If you read the history of the Juhu temple, it was not just a metaphorical war. At one time, there was a physical war also happened. The devotees were attacked and they were injured also in that time. So this was what Prabhupada endeavored for the most. And the temple was so close to inauguration. And then, what happened? When Prabhupada, just a few days before his departure, when he was asked by one of his well-wishers, the life member who had helped him in many ways, Swamiji, do you have any last desires? And Prabhupada said, Kuch Ichha. I have no desires. Would Prabhupada not have had the desire to see the temple when he inaugurated? Prabhupada himself promised Krishna, you come here and I will build a temple. So would Prabhupada not have wanted that? Actually, he would have wanted that. But Prabhupada's, if you consider, Prabhupada's desire for Krishna was greater than his desire for a project for Krishna. Any project for Krishna. But this is my service to you, Krishna, but this is ultimately your project. If not through me, then through someone else that you know. So for Prabhupada, that ambition did not steal away his peace. Because he accepted. He was very eager, he was so sweet to doing when he could. But when things did not work out, he was not agitated. Now, when I told this incident, I was in, I think I mentioned San Francisco, so one Mataji came and she said, why was Krishna so cruel to Prabhupada? Why did Krishna not let Prabhupada stay for 2 months and he would have seen the temple? So I said that actually, my understanding, we don't know what happens between Krishna and Prabhupada. But my understanding is that Krishna wanted Prabhupada to demonstrate a different lesson. And the different lesson is how to depart peacefully in Krishna consciousness. How to just be completely immersed in the remembrance of Krishna. And Prabhupada accepted it. So that is what is often the final lesson or the last lesson we talk about it. So Prabhupada was completely dedicated in serving Krishna. But so Prabhupada was never in a comfort zone. But that while being purposeful, he was peaceful because he knew I am serving. If not in this way, I am serving Krishna in this way. So that is the glory of Sri Prabhupada. That he was so purposeful and he was so peaceful. That Krishna, if you want to do this service through me, I am fully here for you. Please use me as an instrument. But if you decide, Krishna, you want to use some other instrument, then I am going to fully accept that also. That is the dynamism of devotion. When a devotee wants to do wonderful things for Krishna, But a devotee understands that it is Krishna who is doing those wonderful things through me. And if Krishna chooses some other instrument, then a devotee accepts that also. So this is how we come out of our comfort zone for Krishna by understanding that Krishna wants us to be purposeful. Krishna is our commander, but Krishna is also our protector. I'll summarize what I discussed. Broadly, our topic was serving Krishna beyond our comfort zone. So Krishna Seva, going beyond our comfort zone. So I talked about it broadly. 3 main points. The first point I discussed was about how when we are practicing Bhakti, is it about going inside or is it going outside? It is inside, outside. The most important thing is going up. So I discussed this I only. The more important thing is to go up. So if we only go inside, we talk the first part is a lot about the more. If we go only inside, we can get caught in tamas. We get only outside, we can get caught in rajas. So for us, we want to go up. That is where we go towards Sattva. So we discussed about the various zones. Comfort zone is where we underestimate ourselves. That is tamas. We don't do as much as we can. And the panic zone is where we go beyond our capacity. So that is rajas. So we want to be in between these two. That is the stretch zone. That is where is sattva. So sattva is the idea that we want to grow in our life. And how do we discuss this about this? This was the key part of the class. That we want to be peaceful, but we also want to be purposeful. So in our life, we want to be peaceful. If there's only peace without purpose, then it becomes, we discussed, boring, unproductive. Our life itself doesn't have much value. And then after that, it becomes self-destructive. That we end up seeking some quick, cheap pleasure stimulation, and that ends up hurting ourselves. So, peaceful, yes or no. So this is tamas. Now, if we do not have either of these, then that is tamas square. That is even worse. If there is purposeful, yes or no. Now the best is where we are peaceful and purposeful. So if you are only purposeful but not peaceful, then that is rajas. So this is not bad. So we can go from here to here, here to here, that is good. Wherever it is. So now this idea of peaceful and purposeful, we understood from another perspective is that the idea of different kind of suffering is there. Problems are always there in life. Some problems are inevitable. That calms the pictures of Bhagavad Gita. So these we need to accept. There are avoidable problems. We need to avoid them or reject them. So that is, yahi samspashya hoga. And then there are strengthening problems. There are problems that enable us to grow in our life. They help us to become better. So in general, if we consider our life, there are some problems that are inevitable. And the way we deal with those inevitable problems, if we try to fixate on those problems too much, then we will end up making those problems bigger. Small things will become very big for us. So instead what we do is, we have a purpose. The purpose associated with strengthening problems. And that's how enables us to become, or to go beyond those problems which are inevitable. And while we can understand that we want to be both peaceful and purposeful, so how can we actually bring that out? I talked about how this is in sattva and sattva plus bhakti. So we discussed about how, if we consider the conception of Krishna, Krishna is protector, but Krishna is also the empowerer. So understanding that Krishna is the protector helps us to become peaceful. Krishna is always in charge.
and Krishna will protect me. But Krishna also wants me to charge. Krishna wants me to serve him. That's what makes us purposeful. So if I fall short, Krishna will take care of things. But still, I want to do things for Krishna. So I want to serve Krishna. So that's this combination is initially for us when the world is very big and Krishna is small, then the world's ups and downs they steal away our peace. Because there's so much uncertainty, insecurity, anxiety in our life. Everything seems to be so volatile. But as we grow spiritually, Krishna becomes big for us and the world becomes small. So knowing that Krishna is with us, within us, that makes us peaceful. No matter what happens in our life, Krishna is the bigger reality. And this understanding comes through our sadhana. That during a sadhana, we need to at least for a few moments immerse ourselves in Krishna. First we give entrance to Krishna and then we gain entrance for our consciousness in Krishna. So then remembering that Krishna is the bigger reality, that will make us peaceful. And then this connection with Krishna is there, and after that we want to serve Krishna in this way. This is, we are empowered and this is what makes us purposeful. So we discussed Srila Prabhupada's life example, how for so many years, 22 to 68 almost, although there was no success, still there was no success. But still Prabhupada was peaceful and purposeful. We discussed from Krishna's perspective, Krishna is full in himself. And in that sense he is peaceful. But Krishna wants to share his fullness with others. That's why he is purposeful also. He is ecstatic. So a devotee also, a connection with Krishna becomes full. Krishna will never reject you. Krishna will never abandon you. So a devotee becomes peaceful. That is Krishna's love for me. A devotee becomes secure in the knowledge that Krishna loves me. It makes us peaceful. I want to express my love for Krishna. That makes us purposeful. So from 68 to 77, Prabhupada had a huge success. But then, in the last, you can see the apparent failure. But what happened is, at last Prabhupada accepted it. That although after his departure in 78, the Jew temple inaugurated, Prabhupada was peaceful in the last days. How? If Krishna wants me, Krishna empowers me to offer the world to him, I will offer the world to him. But if Krishna has some other plan, I will accept it. So for us as devotees, this combination, Krishna is the bigger reality and Krishna loves me, that makes it peaceful. And I want to do big things for Krishna, that makes us purposeful. That's how we can be in the zone we are stretching ourselves and are growing, but we don't collapse either into lethargy or into unbearable anxiety. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Do you have few minutes for questions?
So you said you talked about devotion, ambition and success.
Oh, thank you. So I explained it indirectly. I mentioned that when there is devotion, it's a nice point. Yes. So Prabhupada's devotion led to ambition. He wanted to serve Krishna, do wonderful things, but still he was satisfied. So that ambition is, I want to express my love for you, Krishna. Satisfaction is, Krishna, I know that you love me and you will accept me, whether I am able to do wonderful things for you or not. That was the point. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, the purpose you talked about can it be misunderstood as materialistic purpose or working, say I want to work, I want to become very big in the company.
Well, my understanding is Rajoguna is Rajoguna is much better than Tamoguna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that Tamoguna is like a poison and Rajoguna is like an antidote for the poison. Right? Now, Tamoguna is much better than Rajoguna, no doubt. But Rajoguna is also not a bad thing. That is, see, the world is a difficult place. And even survival in the world is not easy. And survival requires endeavor. So So my understanding is, even if a person has a materialistic purpose, that is better than having no purpose. Like especially after I spending time in America, I realized that there is Rajasic parenting is a million times better than Tamasic parenting. A Rajasic parent may not at all be interested in spirituality. But if the child falls sick, then it's heaven and earth to take care of the child. A Tamasic parent is so stoned on drugs and they don't even know that I have a child. There are people who grow up like that. It's very different. So having some purpose is better than having no purpose. Now, the more spiritual our purpose becomes, the better it is. And in fact, in many ways, people who are purposeful, people who are ambitious, people who are successful, people who are achievers in their life, if they come to Bhakti, they can also do a lot for Krishna. Now, it is possible that somebody may get so caught in a material purpose that they think there's nothing, spirituality is not important. Well, that's possible. When that happens, then they have to go through certain experiences in their life where the inadequacy or the insufficiency of material purpose is revealed. So, I don't think we should completely dismiss material purpose, because material can also be sattvic or rajasic, it depends. So, but over a period of time, they need to recognize that this is not really deeply fulfilled. There has to be something more in life. Okay?
From my peer.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, wonderful class. After having purpose, there are multiple results. And if we surrender those results, like Yukta Karam Phalam Satya, Santi Mapnoti Nastikam, then you will be peaceful. So we should know that whatever I am doing, I am not doing. Nakartabhyam na karmani dukasya siddhikam. This is all done by Krishna only. And at the end, we should also know that Duktaram Yaktasam, when Yatva Mam Santi Viksati. Then all this 5th chapter, all about the Santi, the peace. So after getting peaceful, whether it is material or non-material, if only we surrender that to all the result to Krishna, then only we become peaceful. Is it true?
Okay. So when do we become peaceful? I think becoming peaceful is like an incremental journey. There are degrees of peace, there are deeper and deeper levels of peace. So now, to realize that actually I am not doing anything, we have to do many things. What I mean by that is, I got devotee who was going to, when I was in the Pune ashram, this one devotee was very lethargic in the ashram. So I was talking about this class, Pune Karmani, but we are not the devotees. So I said, if we hear we are not the devotees, it raises many questions. So what are the questions that come in mind? So this devotee raises that. If I am not the doer, why should I do anything? No. But the point, see, if we say, that's a very, if we say that when Krishna says, are we the doers or are we not the doers? To say that if I am not the doer, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna tell Arjuna? Vimrishyata asheshena yathechati tatha kudu. Now deliberate on my message and then do as you desire. And what does Arjuna say? Karishye vachanam tava. I will do your will. So we are certainly doers. There is no doubt about it. The whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to get Arjuna to do something. Isn't it? So to think that I am the doer or I am not the doer. The reconciled understanding is in 18.16 of the Bhagavad Gita. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pashyatya akrita buddhitva nasa pashyati durmati. Therefore, one who thinks I am the sole doer, that person is an illusion. So when we say I am not doing anything, That is an expression of humility. But the fact is, Krishna wants us to do things. But whenever we try to do something really ambitious, really extraordinary, if we have some level of awareness, then we understand that there are so many things that need to fall in place for this to happen. And then we realize actually I am not good. So, by doing nothing, we will not realize I am not good. It is by trying to do with some spiritual awareness. Yeah, okay, so many things have to fall in place. So that way, now when does peace come? Peace comes through an increasing realization that Krishna is in charge. So, when we say that we offer without any attachment to the fruits, when we work, then we get yukta karma phalam tyakta, yukta karma phalam tyakta, shanti apnoti ajnishti. The point is yukta, we need to be connected with Krishna. So, karma phalam tyakta. That karma phalam tyakta doesn't mean that we don't care for the results. See, not caring for the results is not detachment. It is irresponsibility. We do care for the results, but we care for Krishna more than we care for the results. So the difference is, this is that, let's put it this way, that when we say, what is the difference with respect to results? The difference between detachment and irresponsibility is that detachment is that we do our work. Krishna says we detach from the results, not from the work itself. Isn't it? So detachment is we do the work and then we are detached from the results. So it is after the work has been done, Krishna, whatever results come, I accept that. But irresponsibility is before the work itself. I don't do anything and I say I'm detached from the results. Well, we are not detached from the results, we are detached from Krishna itself. If I am cooking, if somebody is cooking for Krishna, and he says I'm following karma nivarika, I am detached from how the food tastes. That is not detachment, that is irresponsibility. So peace comes as we become more and more connected with Krishna. In the questions and questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Prabhu, I have a close question. Like in sadhana, you say we should be able to immerse our consciousness with Krishna. So, like some practical way we can understand if our sadhana is going in the right direction, or otherwise it may appear to be more sentimental, and I can assume I am immersing a lot into Krishna but practically doing nothing. Test cases. That's all.
So is that a comment or a question?
So, Prabhuji, question. Like, by doing sadhana, we have to come in presence of the bigger reality. Then we will be peaceful as well as purposeful.
Right.
So, what are the practical ways I can judge that I am doing my sadhana properly, that I am coming in the presence of the bigger reality? Otherwise, sentimentally, I may assume.
Okay. So, generally, it will not always be at the time of sadhana itself. So sometimes we experience Krishna and we feel so much joy. Sometimes we are chanting and we feel after chanting 16 hours, I want to chant more. But sometimes we chanting to take out the beads. It's 108 or 1008. It's not getting over. So we may not experience that I have experienced Krishna during us. But what will happen is other times we would have got very much agitated by some event that happens, but we don't get agitated that much. So that is an indication that at this day would have agitated me a lot. If I am not agitated, because I am sheltered in something stable. So generally the ups and downs of life, if they don't take us up and down so much, that's a good indication that we are experiencing Krishna. Bhakti, Parishan Bhava, Virakti. Virakti does not mean indifference or apathy. It means non-infatuation. So neither the ups nor the downs will infatuate us so much.
like that 11th canto verse you said. So those three parameters we can judge ourselves if we are coming in the presence of bigger reality. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So you were talking about peace and purpose. So there are inevitable problems and avoidable problems. So at times we feel that we are stuck in the problems of life so much so that we don't know whether they're inevitable or avoidable. And so in such cases, how are there any some practical steps so that we find purpose? I mean, finding peace itself is becoming tough at times. We don't know where it falls. So how do we some steps to see if we get purpose in life?
So, how to know whether a problem is inevitable or avoidable? So, Nilandru, you have to tell me whether this question is inevitable or avoidable. So, sometimes it's not easy to know at that particular time. But generally, we could say whatever has happened in our past, let's treat it as inevitable. No, okay, maybe this happened, or that happened, that accident happened, that loss happened. It's inevitable, it's destiny. Now, what by our choices can lead to complications? That is avoidable. So, for example, we know certain kind of indulgences will get us into trouble. That's avoidable. But it may not, in real life, it's not always that black and white. So rather than worrying so much about whether a particular problem is inevitable or a particular problem is avoidable, we focus on what is strengthening for us. So the purpose when we are trying to look for, it does not have to come as an overwhelming calling for us. It can be simply as curiosity, as interest. Maybe I would like to explore this. Maybe here I may have some talent. I may have some interest. So finding purpose requires a big class in itself. But broadly speaking, when I talk about it, I owe you. To look inward to see what are the gifts that we have. What are the abilities that we have? What are the interests that we have? So look inward to find out our abilities. Then look outward to see what are the opportunities. See, we may have many abilities, but right now we may not have the opportunities for those abilities. So look inward for abilities, look outward for opportunities. That is broadly associated with guna, karma and bhava. So guna is what helps us to feel internally connected. Karma is what we are able to do in a competitive way. And then look upward. Looking upward is our spirituality. That brings us stability. That okay, it's our spirituality. So pray to Krishna. Krishna, it seems that I have this ability, I have this opportunity. Let me see. So when ability and opportunity come together, that's why we get to do something of value in life. So sometimes what happens is, we are so caught in that I have this particular ability, but I have no opportunity. But sometimes we get some opportunity and by that we discover some abilities. Isn't it? So it's not just, I said, don't just look inward, look outward, look upwards. That whatever situation I am in, it is ultimately the Krishna and Krishna. If I am in a situation where my ability is not being recognized, my ability is not being facilitated, Krishna knows that. If Krishna is in situation, let me see what I can do in this situation. So that's why we don't get too caught in just the ability opportunity. We also look upward. And then by that, Dadami Vitti Yogam Krishna will guide us forward. And purpose, we have an ultimate purpose of going back to Krishna. But individually, each one of us has to find how best I can move toward Krishna. So that's why it's a purpose is both individual and universal. It's like, say, this is the mountain. is the mountain and this is the ocean. So now from the mountain, when the river goes to the ocean, one river may go one way, another river may go a different way. A third river may go a different way. Each river has to find its way to the ocean. So going to the ocean is like going back to Krishna. That is the ultimate purpose of life. But how do we go to Krishna? That path each one of us has to follow. That's why there's a universal purpose that is common for everyone. But the individual purpose, how we find our path through this world, how we do service in this world, how we make a contribution in this world. That's something which is for each one of us to find. And that's why it requires this look inward, look outward, look upward, all three things together.
Hare Krishna. So, my question is, how do I, is giving priority to sadhana selfless activity or is it selfish? Because many times I see myself giving priority to my chanting, like completing my rounds early in the morning, and I'm just concerned about that thing. I'm not concerned about the needs of other devotees or how I can help them meet their needs.
So don't think about sadhana or seva. Think about the relationship with Krishna. See, the point is we want to develop a relationship with Krishna. And if we have that attitude, Krishna, I am your servant, I want to serve you. So it is not that every day this comes, that comes, and everything, every day our sadhana is just kept. We need to arrange our schedules. Sadhana is important for us because this is the time when I am spending with Krishna. So we make sure that we have time for that, we prioritize that. But there could be times when other things are important. And we need to give attention for that also. So over a period of time, we ourselves will find how we best connect with Krishna. So now everybody needs to do sadhana, everybody needs to do seva. Who prioritizes when? That to some extent depends on the Ishikala. So some devotees may prioritize sadhana as the most important. And it is important, no doubt. But if somebody is doing say late night preaching and it's very important that they do particular services at that particular time, then maybe they're not able to wake up in the morning, they're not able to do sadhana necessarily in the morning. But if that seva is connecting with Krishna, that seva is actually bringing closer to Krishna, then that's very important. So Palena Parichaya. The result should be that our consciousness will become more enriched. So rather than just getting caught sadhana or seva, focus on Krishna. How am I coming closer to Krishna? How am I developing a relationship with Krishna? So if you think about what will please Krishna right now, how can I please Krishna? Then gradually the answer will come. You are prioritizing, you are prioritizing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. And also my question is, if we have a spiritual desire, so when we face multiple challenges in it, so till what extent do we try to overcome those challenges? Because when we are trying, sometimes it happens that we lose our peace of mind. So till what extent should we try to overcome all those challenges?
To what extent should we try? I think it's not a universal answer for everyone. It depends on time, place, circumstance. So the thing is that Prabhupada was preaching. Now when he was not successful in India, he kept preaching. So a devotee wants to keep serving, but he also wants to be successful in service. So we try to analyze. And then the